you rehearsed and recorded first, and without ever playing them live in front of an audience. Why the different approach all of a sudden?
You know, that was a very unique experience for us. We had done that in the past, like on Life Before Insanity, we did about half of that record that way. The other half was done with songs that we had been playing on the road. And Dose, a little bit that way, but Deja Voodoo was the first time we did a whole record that way. And I really, after doing the last Allman Brothers record and seeing with today's technology and the way we let people trade and tape the shows, it was obvious to me how many people had live performances of every song that was going to be on the new Allman Brothers record. So when the record came out, it didn't have as much of an impact because people had already experienced those songs.
It's part of the whole tape trading process. If you allow people to tape your songs, you're going to run into this problem, really, you know.
You know, so we kind of decided, you know, let's rehearse these songs, let's play them at sound check, but let's not play them in front of an audience. So when the record comes out, our entire fan base would experience them at the same time, especially because it was such an important record for us, because it was the first record with Danny and Andy, the first record with the new band, and I just wanted it to have as much impact as possible. It's not to say that we'll do the next one that way, but you know, I think it was effective. But there's also something to playing the songs in front of an audience. You can kind of learn things that way that you can't learn in the studio. You know, so there's good and bad to both sides.
Danny, you once said that playing with this band is like driving the fastest, most comfortable, best performing car you've ever been in. What does that mean?
Those are pretty long words. Let me get my dictionary. Wow, I'll have to think back at when I said that, but it sounds like what I meant was that it's not only a musical experience that I have by giving myself, I feel like I'm taking a ride as I'm playing with this band, and I feel like I'm going on a journey in a very, very well-equipped vehicle. And I think that's what I was trying to say, is that a great deal of the pleasure and the creativity that I experience by playing in this band is just allowing it to happen, as if I was in the back seat and not driving. And when I do drive, I feel like I've got all that power behind me. So it was an analogy to describe the experience of playing live.
Well put.
Thank you.
You seem to get categorized as being a jam rock band. Can you relate to that term, and do you feel particularly in tune with the jam band scene?
Well, the jam band scene is really made up of a lot of bands that improvise for a living. Bands that don't play the same set list every night, that don't take the same approach to the songs every night. And that's a great thing in itself, and that's somewhere that we definitely belong. Now, the flip side of that is a lot of the jam bands maybe take a big cue from the Grateful Dead, which we don't necessarily take. We're much more of a rock band than a lot of the bands that are considered jam bands. But if jam band means a community of open-minded listeners listening to bands that are open-minded and trying to break new ground and not be informed by the mainstream and MTV, etc., then that's a good thing. And in my opinion, then if you take that back to the Grateful Dead and the Allman Brothers, then you should also include Led Zeppelin and Free and Pink Floyd and Hendrix, because they were jam bands too. You know, it's just that somehow the Grateful Dead and the Allman Brothers seem to be the two forerunners of the jam band scene. In our minds, there are a lot of other influences that we, you know, utilize that maybe some of these other bands don't.